Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on, it must be at least Thursday, the 11th of April. So, as you can see, my charting package is slightly different today because, well, my e-signal's gone down and it's not working. So I am working off of TradingView.com, which is, funny enough, owned by the same people that provide the data for e-signal and actually sell e-signal. But you can get this a damn sight cheaper, but it's not got quite the same functionality, but it's nearly there. And well, I'm just going to take you over a plain chart and tell you exactly what I'm going to see. It's probably a lesson in how to look with it at a price without looking at any indicators. It's semi-blind in that respect because obviously some of the indicators I do work to, but I have managed to put a daily pivot on it, so all is not lost. So with no further ado, let's get on with this, looking at this euro dollar. I'm starting to look at the euro dollar, and you know, I haven't even clicked on my daily what's on today on the calendar, and just checking that first. So well, yesterday we had the European data coming through, Draghi speaking, which looks pretty much in line with what was expected, and as expected, it sold off when he spoke, and it retraced most of what he sold off. So we'll cover that later. But looking at the news to date, there's nothing until 1:30 of any significance there. We've had the Australian data out at 3:30, which is a lot of significance for our Australian clients. And then we've got PPI and CPI coming out for the US later on. So it's the CPI, core PPI even. I'm getting a extra letter in there. PPI. I was thinking PPI and CPI doesn't sound right. Anyway, it's not right. And then we've got a bunch of FOMC speakers coming out at 2:30, 2:35, and 2:40. So I assume they're pretty much somewhere similar in where they are. I'm just having a quick look. Due to speak at the Economic Outlook and Monetary Policy and the Institute International Finance Policy. That's a great place to go. Remember to put that on your wish list when you're visiting the US of places to miss. Right. Okay. They're all in different places actually, but they've managed to get their speeches 5 minutes apart. Very good. So what that basically means is that we could get comments coming all the way through from about 2:30 onwards. Okay, right. So let's have a look at this this is the euro dollar daily picture here, and well, yesterday pretty showed everything. It showed the sell-off on the news and then the retracement post news, and that's where we are. And that's really normally a reversal candle in a towards the bottom of the bar. Is it a hanging man? Is the other question. A bit of a hammer there. Well, we'll see. Any break it's sitting around about a major pivot where it is at the moment, and it looks like it's trying to take that out properly. And maybe if it pushes above yesterday's highs, really, we will be from a short-term perspective into more of a bullish scene. I'm not totally convinced by it, but there we are. Okay, let's switch time frames. Have a look at the 4 hourlies here. And I'm going to have to take that off for a moment. There we go. And what we got here, so you can see from a 4 hourly picture, it's sort of it's come back to prior highs here, and it's pushing through some of them at the moment. In fact, I might as well just go straight to a 60-minute picture and put the pivots on here and see what we're looking at. So pushing up at the moment, it's breaking these prior highs. Actually, it's the most solid it's been at this sort of level. We'll see what happens. It's got daily pivot untouched below. It may want to come back for that. Well, I'm just wary of these sort of prior highs. We'll see what it does this morning here, because otherwise it's not a million miles away from its R1. There's certainly a possibility for it to push up there. Maybe just I'm sitting here watching it a little bit this morning, but at this stage, well, it's erring technically more on the bullish side. It may just pop out here, steal the stops and roll over, and that's one thing I'm wary of on the euro dollar there. So that's the euro. Let's have a look at the pound if I can bring this in. Here we go. There's the pound. I'm going to go out and look at it on a daily basis first. Pivots are hidden, that's good. And what you can see here basically is quite a few failed attempts. Where's my little pen? If I can bring that in, it loses the cursor. There we go. So we've got loads of failed. You look at the bars on here, and there's loads of failed attempts of hanging into things. And this is the story of the pound lately. It manages to look like it's going to put some new highs in, then rolls over. I see new highs, but get a proper high in. But at the moment, what we can see from here, it's all lower highs, and well, not all quite all lower lows, but certainly up to this point here, it was lower lows, and it would suggest there's a bit of weakness sort of sitting there. You just can't hang on to the goods. So the story of that is really sell into late afternoon rallies by looks of things, because they're bound to roll over. Well, we'll see. Or early morning rallies, as some of them may be. We're obviously waiting for some sort of Brexit decisions, etc., to come through. I don't think, from what I heard late last night on the news, that everyone was in agreement, and in terms of the extension, they're willing to offer a snivelling Prime Minister that's over there. So we'll see. Okay, that's daily. Let's have a come down to 4 hourlies here, and we'll hide the pivots out of your way for a minute. I've worked out that bit. And what we got here, so on this stage here, I'm just looking to see if we break this sort of point here, because break of this would be much bullish. I mean, we attempted to get pretty close to it yet. It must have been yesterday, and it's fouled. And if it could break this area, well, then it gives us a higher low, and it would suggest further upside. So we'll see how we get on there. But at the moment, it's stuck here a little bit. Let's come down to the hourlies, and we'll throw the pivots on here. He says, hopefully, there we go, and it's basically bounced off its daily pivot there at the moment. Where to? Well, it's failed to hang on to the gains it was making this morning so far. It seems, as I say, a bit of a story. It sells off actually a little bit later yesterday. It was probably on the very fact that there's no agreement. As I could see at the time, they may have come through with something now, but can't see anything there. Potential from here, if it was to break the daily pivot here, I would be bearish on this market, but at the moment there's a sort of a drift towards the higher side here. You can just get the sort of as I say, the picture off the 4 hourly showing that sort of drift to the upside, but it's struggling. But we'll see how it goes this morning. It may, only because it's got more points in it, it may be worth a shot towards that R1 and into yesterday's highs there. I mean, it's quite a reasonable point to be looking for, but we'll see how we get on with that. Okay, moving on, dollar yen. I'm not going to go through all the different time frames here. You can see what's happening. It's selling off. Lower highs, lower lows. It's pretty clear here. Want to get onto the bandwagon? Well, you generally have to wait late. It was 1 o'clock on, 12 o'clock. Seems to be in the afternoon session. We're seeing some half decent moves here, so it may be an afternoon trade for short. Just watching this. If it does sell and break the trend line there, I'd be looking at towards yesterday's lows, maybe even towards the S1. It seems to have worked quite well most of these days so far, but we'll see. There's always a chance it'll spoil that. If it, in fact, the spoiler for me today, if it runs up towards its R1. That will probably be suggesting it may be trying to pitch up a bit further here. You can see in the shorter term frame here on this hourly chart, it's put a higher low in, and it's edging its way at the moment. But if that all fails, it's had a decent move from that higher low. It may be just an ABC correction. If it fails this trend line, well, and moves below that daily pivot at some point, probably later on, that may be a good sell point. Okay, Aussie dollar, and again I'm going to stick with just this 60-minute chart for speed, and we're looking here a bit bitty. We had yesterday morning, we'd seen a sell-off through the Asian session. It did pick up, and we're seeing a bit of a softening in the US dollar as a whole, and this is really reflected in this Aussie dollar. It could have further upside. I'd like to see the daily pivot taken out, of course, because it gives me more confidence in that. So my preference, if I was looking to trade this today, would be to see it come back towards that daily pivot, tick that box, and then break the trend line of the on the flaggy sort of pattern that's appearing there. So if it was to go earlier, well, it's a slightly less odds trade, and you'd be looking towards yesterday's highs and probably that R1 area. Okay, Aussie, and finally the Canadian dollar, all off the alleys, because this is what I'd normally use to trade on a daily intraday basis anyway, so may as well focus on what I'm focusing on. Now the Canadian dollar here, I'm seeing this sort of probably a bit of divergency action going on, I'd have a guess at. Sitting on here, so it's probably sitting there diverging on this hourly basis. I've got no indicators to show me that, but I would expect that to happen. What would suggest further downside? Break of the low from the 5 o'clock candle there would suggest further downside. It's already hit the daily pivot. Where to? Well, again, this is one of those that tends to move better in the afternoons. You'll see most afternoons it just moves better. It's sort of the post 12 o'clock you get the decent moves on it. 11 o'clock there it started, but 12 o'clock onwards it went the previous day there, so it's certainly worth trading it in its own session more so, and we're seeing that with in fact quite a lot of pairs at the moment, and they seem to be wanting to move, and we're seeing better moves post 12 o'clock. Anyway, so for now, looking at this, if you were looking to trade it, for me, if there is a divergence there, I would be looking for the break of the lows. Okay, that's it. Covered the news, covered everything else. Sorry a bit longer today, but different bit of software, and probably covered a bit more. So have a great day. Bye for now.